Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
I don't think people will understand what you're talking about when you call it that. Most people call it the corner or Top Cat Corner.
Nah. I just want more people to just say something nice about Cust Corner. It's my favorite show that we do.
So are we on 15?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I can't remember.
I don't think so.
It's 14, 15, or 16.
What are we on, Tim?
I believe it's 14.
Like we were way off. Anyway, Garion Thorne is here.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
You're
amped to do Cust Corner.
excited
it's been a
for a
long
Cust
time.
Corner?
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've done actually
I'm hoping
just
his
Cust
takes
Corner.
have changed a little bit.
No, it's all millennial related.
Yeah. Well,
Can't
exactly
go wrong with that.
Exactly like the first 13 then.
Yes,
apparently.
exactly.
So?
Also, I guess I should introduce, I'm Pat Mayo, that's Garion Thorne, and the man with the insane takes that you'll hear on the line, his name is Tim Andercust!
Tim Andercust.
That is not my name, and I dispute the insane label to my takes.
Yeah, but you're gonna say some takes, and then everyone's gonna know you're insane just by listening to
People
them.
come around on my takes after time. You have no idea how many tweets I get from people saying, initially I didn't agree with what you were saying, but actually I'm starting to see your way of things, and it's very pervasive.
What would you say is the ratio between those tweets and people saying that whatever you've recently said is actually your worst take ever?
I can tell you exactly what the ratio is. It's 50-1, just like every poll you ever have on Twitter ends at 98 to 2%. Every
That's not
single
true.
time. Which one wasn't that lopsided?
Well, when I had the Twitter poll about who prefers the flat wings to the drumstick wings, it was basically a dead heat.
I mean, he lost, but he's going to consider that
Like
one a win.
52-48.
But that's a win for Tim.
That is a more
As
rational sort of conversation.
As someone who claims that every time he gets over 6% in a poll, it's a big win for him.
That would be a
Be it
pretty big
48%.
Well, the deck is stacked against me. You have several times more followers than I do, and you're encouraging the people to vote down.
No,
my
I've heard
Oh.
you have more followers than many people. A lot of these people who come into your mentions with 42 followers and don't bring the funny. Got more
Yeah,
followers
well,
than them, Tim.
As I've said on previous podcasts, I don't take that cheap shot anymore.
Yeah, but Tim, we were talking about on the win total show that if Tim loses some sort of bet to me, he's going to have to respond to anyone who tweets at him like that.
That'll be good.
Get out of my mentions with your 32 followers. You're a laugh riot. Anyway, so the first one that I wanted to bring up, and this is about a poll that, Tim, you put out there that you said that people should pour milk into the bowl first before putting in their cereal, which might be the most insane thing you've done since you greased literally the bottom of the pan and put it on the burner and started a grease fire.
Well, I was told to grease the bottom of the pan. Anyway, here's why you want to put the milk in first. This is science. This is irrefutable.
Okay,
If you
okay,
put the cereal in first,
hold on, just stop just for a second. You don't believe in science.
I most certainly do.
No, you don't. I always hear you believe in the science of the Lord over, empirical science.
Some of us have significant political science training.
Yeah, it's not real science. Not real science, pal. You believe in the science of feelings rather than the science of fact.
I do not believe in the science of feelings.
I think you do.
Let me make my irrefutable point, and then you can shake your head and agree with me. The reason you put the cereal in after the milk is if you put the cereal in first, when you pour the milk over, the cereal gets significantly more soggy because the milk covers then the entire Special K flake or the entire Frosted Flake or the entire Cheerio. If you spoon individually the cereal into the milk,
Wait.
Yeah,
So you have a bowl of
This goes beyond what you thought this was.
You have a bowl of milk. You have the box of cereal and a spoon. Are you
Yes.
telling me that you take individual spoonfuls from the box and put them into the milk and then re-scoop them and put them in your mouth?
Yes, that is what I do.
So you're basically dipping your cereal in milk.
No. And sometimes I'll put like 2 or 3 spoons. But listen, the box has only got, 10, 12 spoonfuls in it. So
Are you eating these tiny little boxes that we used to eat at
you
camp?
should only ever eat the travel size boxes because who wants to eat the same cereal every single day? If you have 6 or 7 of these, which they come in 6 packs, so I should have said 6, of the different. You get the corn pops and the Frosted Flakes and the Rice Krispies. Then you have a different cereal every day, and you can sort of spice it up. You haven't got to eat Cheerios every single day for a month until you're through the box. So you spoon out the cereal out of the box, a couple of spoonfuls at a time, and you scoop it up and eat it. The flake stays crispy and crunchy while the milk is still cold, and it's a perfect marriage.
My cups are bone dry.
Yes, it's perfect. And I know it's the lazy way, which is of course what most people do, is they just pour the cereal into the bowl, then pour in the milk, and then they just spoon it out. And you know what? That's fine. If you want to have that sort of more, I don't know, pleb existence of eating it that way, you go right ahead.
Hold on there. Hold on there, Mr. Elite, Mr. Tribune of the People, as you call yourself. Now you're going to call people plebs?
Well, but I'm trying to help the people out by telling them.
Old bougie Tim.
But even if you didn't want to spoon the cereal in individually, even if you just wanted to pour the cereal,
because no one fucking wants to do that.
Into the milk, that's also fine, because there's still less of the cereal being touched by the milk, and therefore it still will be crispier than it otherwise would be. It is clearly the best way to go. There are lots and lots of people who do this. Yes, it lost a poll, but you know what? That's because the decks were stacked against me. And if that poll was 97,
fake news media.
In reality, that's probably like a 60-40 split.
In reality, he lost the poll, 98 to 2%.
Yep,
97-3.
97-3. That's
and
fair.
a lot of those just ended up being sympathy votes because Tim was begging people to
he
vote
also
on his side.
runs 3 or 4 different
accounts.
that
3 or
vote
4
on
is
all
probably
these
like the
polls.
very bottom end of his
That's a
burner
low
accounts.
estimate of this.
So here's a few things. One, some people they go on extreme adventures, or they travel to Italy, and that's how they get a rush or whatever they're doing. They go to safari.
So they go to Sparrow?
Other people, they're together for a long time. They're married. They go to sex clubs or something like that. Or
An Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh yeah, or people start dabbling with hard drugs when they're 45 to get a rush out of life. Tim needs a different cereal every day to really get his juices going.
I would just think that
No. Part 2. What sort of grown person eats cereal? I know people do it. It's for little kids because it's quick to do.
There's an entire aisle in the grocery store that sells cereal. It's weirder not to eat cereal than to eat.
No, it's not. Most people don't eat cereal.
Yes, most people do.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Children eat cereal, and as adults, I'd give it a 30% ratio of adults who eat.
99% of households you go into will have a box of cereal.
Households are different than adults. If you're a single person living in the city or anywhere really, I don't think. I would say it's about 50-50 that you'd actually.
Do you have cereal in your house?
No, I don't.
We don't.
Have I been known to eat cereal in the last
I'm not saying.
I would say I bought 7 to 8 boxes of cereal in the last 5 years.
I'm not saying that there's anything
boxes.
wrong with cereal. It's more of the whole point of cereal. And Tim's talking about eating Frosted Flakes. So
Special K.
He's getting diabetes cereal.
Special K is excellent. It's healthy for you.
Eat something else. Anyway, I totally lost my train of thought. Cereal's good if you're really stoned and you need something to eat. Just be cereal, perfect. Yeah, that's when adults eat cereal.
I eat cereal in the morning, or I'll even.
That's because we've been over this 1,000 times. You can't make a piece of toast without lighting your fucking kitchen on fire.
Okay, that's an exaggeration. And
also, what if your one plate is not clean? Then you got to use your one bowl for cereal. My question here would be, and I again haven't eaten the little tiny cereals in a long time, so maybe I'm out of the loop. But I do remember that there were the instructions on the box that if you wanted to not even use a bowl,
open the bag and pour the milk in.
Open the bag, pour the milk in. So Tim, you are often a person who is very much in line with major corporations because they've been doing this so long and they've gotten to the place they've gotten to because they're successful and know what they're doing. So why do you spit in the face of the instructions that are literally on the box?
I think in that instance, and I'm not even sure if that's true, but you may be right that it's actually written on the box, that they're just playing to the lowest common denominator there. They're like, listen,
the plebes.
If you're camping,
plebs.
Or you're and a lot of people do buy them for that exact reason. If they're out camping and they want to eat breakfast cereal in the morning, which is something easy to make, then you pour the milk into it because you don't have bowls with you. So they're playing the lowest common denominator. But you guys say the same thing about why are there various ways to cook, TV dinners on a.
I don't know if I've ever talked about TV dinners.
I don't think we've got into the TV dinner conversation or the Hungry Man dinner. That's more of you. and just we mock you for eating them in the first place. It's not really about how you cook them.
I think you're welcome to eat your cereal however you like. It is easier to do it by just pouring it in. Sure, no one disputes that. I don't dispute that. But it tastes better the way I do it.
But
hold
on.
In
The
Tim's
whole
defense, though,
point of cereal is a time efficiency thing.
Yes.
I don't have a ton of time. I'm going to eat cereal. It's not like I need a great breakfast. I'll have cereal.
Because I think that's a
That's
major
what children
point. Because
do.
Tim's
They get
right.
Lucky Charms.
Tim's right.
And they're magically delicious.
Most food you eat, you would rather it not be mushy. You would want it crunchy. I understand that
How
point.
slow are you eating your cereal?
That's another thing. It takes what, 2 minutes to polish off a bowl of cereal? Like,
If you're not chewing thoroughly and swallowing thoroughly, perhaps. I don't.
Well, it takes
One
you
of
like.
I mean,
the
all
way
the
that
cereal
you-
pieces are tiny for children's mouths,
Yeah.
so I don't think you're gonna choke.
I think Tim just does it so he can get all the toys out of the
I was gonna
box.
say he probably chokes on the toys.
Yeah. But
The
No, I
razor
don't
sharp
eat
Crustio in
I
every
hate that
box.
I hate most of like the marshmallowy, newfangled stuff. Like,
by
give me-
newfangled, you mean the stuff that's been around for like 50 years?
Yeah, but I don't care for it. Like, to me, Lucky Charms is on the edge of something I can't. That's not even cereal to me.
You know
That's
who's a
dessert.
snowflake?
I don't need it.
Count Chocula.
Oh, you think so?
Oh yeah.
How come?
Far more than
Just the way he
Frankenberry.
dresses.
Oh.
You can tell.
He just seems like an entitled millennial.
Frankenberry actually would have been a better millennial, I think. Tim's right.
Anyway, this whole cereal thing. Like 99% of people eat
No.
cereal now.
I'd say it's
not even
closer to
close.
50-50.
I would say it's
but-
below that. Like take kids out of the equation.
Yeah, I would
Just
still
adults.
say
Human adults.
what's our age range? Because I think we are. I would say people my age are still very much wanting to be connected to their youth.
Okay,
and
I will say
lazy.
this. People between the ages of 20 and 40 without kids. They're not eating cereal.
I'd say 40
Sure
to
they are.
50%.
I'd say 30%.
Oh, yeah. At least half, probably more than half.
See, but
Just because you're
But
at
not
a
every day.
toxic
Not enough
food,
where you would get tired of a particular brand of cereal.
Just because you think everyone lives the way you do.
no,
doesn't
you know,
mean-
I know how people live. You just have no concept of reality.
I know how people. They are not selling adult-themed big boxes of cereal to children. They're selling it because grown-ups buy it.
What are adult
Children are not
themed
saying,
cereal
I want
boxes?
regular Rice Krispies.
What? I had, like, when I was
Yeah,
a
that
child,
was
I
one
had
of the
Rice
main-
Krispies.
That's one of the 6 boxes that come in the kids packs, which
Okay,
I believe
maybe
they
that
are
was a
called
bad
kids
example.
packs.
Let's fine. Special
Wait, do you
occasions.
do this
Plain
individual thing just so you can hear the Rice Krispies snap, crackle, and pop each individual time, and not just have it all happen at the top and be wasted?
It is cool to hear them snap, crackle, and pop.
So,
I won't deny it.
I guess my question for you is, why do you think that you have a grasp on what people are up to? Well, it's been proven over the previous 14 Cust Corners, and even all the interstitials,
Possibly 13.
and your Twitter account, that you seem to have no concept of how any of this works.
I know how things work.
You
I
don't,
know how-
because you try to make a claim about how things are, and then you get the people to vote on it, then you call them fake news because they don't agree with you. And then,
I
you,
got
and then,
told.
and then you get
That
really
was
triggered.
rigged. That poll was rigged.
I mean, his tactics have been successful in recent years. so
Not
I don't
for him,
blame
though.
him. Not for
Not
him.
for him.
But they are generally successful
Well,
tactics.
he's not the Trump of the Pat Mayo experience.
true.
He's the Steve Bannon of the
That's
Pat
true.
Mayo
That is
I
true.
experience.
reject that label unequivocally yet again.
Okay, we'll go back to insane person then.
Yeah.
Thank you for your cooperation, Tim.
I reject that label as well.
All right. What's the next topic?
Well, I have a list of them. I want to talk about the new Oscar changes. I want to talk about the green zone. I want to talk about a balloon ban. I want to talk about how I will save the movies by going to them. And I will talk about standing desks. What would you like to talk about?
Oh, okay. I'm.
Standing desk could be interesting.
We'll get the standing desk later because I'm pro standing desks. I want to talk about this movie thing because I know where Tim's coming from on this one. It's actually on my sheet.
Which movie thing?
So Tim, explain this movie thing because you're way off.
So there was an article written not long ago, circulated on Twitter, sort of in the conjunction with, I think it's Movie Pass that was not doing well or something. Anyway, the great question was, movie attendance at the theaters are down. What do we do to get people to go back to the movies and to attend more frequently? And some people said, well, they should ban, people being allowed to bring their kids to movies. And I'm ardently against that. Taking your kids to the movies is a critical thing to do to teach them that going to the movies is fun and to encourage that sort of behavior because it's good and it's a part of Western culture and society, and it's okay to foster that kind of
I like how your reasoning isn't like quality family time or anything like that. It's that you need to foster these characteristics of a normal society.
No. Hold on a second. Hold on. The whole point is to get more people to go to the movies. So his
wanna have
idea
kids
of
be cut out, I
banning people
know.
from going to the movies
No,
is a bad idea.
I don't want to ban them.
That's what I'm saying. That
don't
should be your
want
number one argument. Number one argument of getting more people to go to the movies is don't exclude an entire segment of the population from going to movies. Step one.
I agree. That was my point. I don't want to ban anybody from the movies. Like, I don't want to ban children from
Yeah,
movies.
but now you're now talking about how movies are a part of ingrained Western culture. Like,
They are a part of Western
know,
society. They are a part of
there's
our,
a lot
our
of
culture.
there's a lot of things that have been a part of the culture, Tim, that have just gone away.
Yeah, but this is a good part of our culture.
Why? I can watch movies from home.
I think
I
there
can-
are certain
I can
movies
watch-
you want to watch.
I
in
can
theaters,
watch
though.
movies on my phone on the subway, Tim.
Oh, I know, because you're a millennial and you don't understand how important it is to see good movies in the theater. Perhaps.
That's actually not true, because I actually do go see the movies I
I'm
want
not
to
talking
see
about
in
you.
I
theaters.
was like,
As in
you more than
man,
anyone I
talking-
know.
Goes to the movies.
I mean, you'll go to the movies, but also if a movie's shot in a particular way, I know
I'll go see
several
the
times you've gone to. There's like what 2?
70 millimeter.
Yeah, in Toronto, you'll go to
I'll
those.
go to
So
those. I'll go to
I think there's an appreciation.
movies
I
that
think
need to be
there's
seen in
certain movies.
IMAX. I'll go see in IMAX.
Yeah,
I want
I
to.
understand that, but the average millennial doesn't. They say, "Oh, well, I can get it for free from some internet torrent, and I'll watch it that way." And
Yeah, that's how I do watch most of my stuff, though.
I watch a lot of
That's
movies that way
that's
too.
way easier.
But I think there are movies that I like enough or am interested enough in where I actually will go to the theater. And some movies too just play better in a theater. I think it's
And
more
so-
fun
and-
to see a comedy in theaters.
In
It's
some
more fun-
movies, I don't even know about that. I think if you're there like opening night,
I guess it
you need to
depends.
see it with an
If
actual
you're going to see
crowd.
it with 17 people, it makes no difference if you're watching it alone in
exactly.
your room. But
and
yeah.
if you're going to see one of these like big movies, like a superhero movie, unless you had like the primo setup at home with all the surround sound,
Yeah.
because so much of those movies is made in like the special effects and the sound mixing.
Yeah.
Like the new Mission Impossible movie, I would want to see that in the theater.
Yes.
Like
and it was awesome in the theater.
I saw Black Klansman the other day, which was
Oh,
really
I really wanna
good,
see that.
but I could have watched that at home.
Yeah, that would be one of the movies you could watch.
Now, most comedies are better enjoyed in theaters because there's a lot of science to show that when you're laughing, when there's humor, that you feed off of other people laughing, and therefore it's a better experience when you're watching it.
Like Pat said, if you're going 3-4 weeks after it's opened, you're probably watching it in an empty theater anyway. So it's about timing.
Well,
with
this is
comedies,
also why
yeah.
Tim likes the laugh track too, because if the laugh track doesn't laugh for him, he doesn't know when to laugh.
Oh, boy.
I'm not opposed to the laugh track,
But it's
but
horrible.
I don't think you need it either. So I have a list of tips that actually will help, I think, save the movie business.
Okay.
Okay, first and foremost, bring back the intermission. Movies are too long.
Oh my God.
Wait. So you're
This
suggesting
is your solution?
your suggestion to
Step
fix
one.
the length of movies is to add a 5-minute intermission to make the movie going
What-
experience longer?
What is the
Allow me to
what
make
is
my whole
what is the proper
point.
what is the what is the proper length of the intermission?
15 minutes. Give me a reason to explain why these things all tie together.
Sig
so you
break.
can smoke?
yeah,
Yeah.
sig break.
No, because movie theaters also should disconnect your capacity to use data on your phone. When you're in the theater, even if you have it on silent, tons of people just put their phone on silent. They don't turn it off. They get texts. There's glowing. There's light that bothers you. Some people forget to turn their phones off. It's loud. It's distracting. And that ruins the movie-going experience. I would rather watch a movie at home by myself and not be distracted by 1,000 people's phones than being at the movie theater and having a bunch of people texting and making little bits of noise or distracting me. So the theater should treat you going to the movies should be in a lot of ways like flying on an airplane. That your phone is essentially inoperative for that period of time. The intermission, because millennials, God forbid, they be away from their phone longer than an hour and 10 minutes.
You mean
the
you?
intermission
You.
gives you a chance to
Hold on.
get popcorn, get
These millennials you're talking about are you. This is how you act.
I stay off my phone in the movies.
You were at work today and you sent out like 20 tweets.
I am when I'm at the movies, I am not on my phone. But by giving this break, A, it breaks up the monotony. B, it gives you a chance to go get concessions, whatever you want to do. If you smoke, you can have a smoke, text, do whatever, then come back into your seat. Connectedly to enforce it, ushers should be there to throw people out who don't obey by the rules.
Well, that's going to get people to go to the movies more. The threat of being kicked out of the movies.
Also,
Taking out
who is
misbehavior.
the average usher?
Yeah,
Some 16-year-old high school kid? He has no authority.
Yeah, he's going to come up to me and be like, "Sir, you need to leave. Son, you need to go fuck yourself."
Pretty
Well,
much.
then you don't hire 16-year-olds. You hire adults.
Yeah, and you know who's really going to
Adults
want to
who
do
eat
that
cereal.
job? Yeah, adults who eat. Yeah. So basically, you're petitioning that you want this job. You want to be paid maybe under the table for less than minimum wage or minimum wage, and your job is to kick people out of the movies. The whole point is to get people to go to the movies.
Paid
in
in
the first place.
Raisinets.
I think the other part is that movie theaters have to reduce the price of their concessions. I think it's killing them too. I think if the movie theaters would agree to just have the price of their concessions connected with and reinstituted intermission on any movie longer than 2 hours, and
I think
with
the last
disabling of
idea,
Wi-Fi
period.
in the movie theater, I think it would produce a significant boon for the movie attending business.
Now, I'm with him on the lowered concessions.
Sure.
Also,
I think that's all it would take to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. I mean, look how well like Arthur Blank and the Atlanta Falcons have had in terms of Falcons attendance ever since they dropped beer to like $2.
Yeah.
And people were like, all for it.
And they got a Chick-fil-A.
And when people get real booze, they buy the merchandise. So they're actually spending the same amount of money.
It's true.
But it's getting people there. So I'm with it on that one. But you're not understanding the economics of how these movies work with the first part with the intermission. You can't just add 15 minutes to every movie because then you're going to lose a screening per day on each of the movies.
Not every movie.
Yes, every movie. Every movie. They're run so efficiently that so you're making the longer movies even longer. So you might be losing 2.
You're breaking them up. I mean, listen, movies. Traditionally.
Then you also traditionally. When did films stop having intermission? Fucking 60 years ago.
No, I don't think so. I think there's some movies from the 70s that have intermissions.
Some or
which
all?
was the Tarantino movie that has the intermission?
Yeah, because he specifically tries to do old-time...
And it wasn't a real intermission!
Yeah, and you couldn't go anywhere.
But like the classic movies, Gone with the Wind, El Cid, Giant, they had intermissions.
So the movies from the 30s are how we should be making our movie-going experience right now.
They probably had to cool down the projector so it didn't burn down the theater.
And there was also just like racist activities people had to engage in because that was a part of Western culture at the time.
I mean, you can denigrate movie going if you think that it's not valuable. I think it's an integral part of how we tell stories, and it's one of the few conversation points left in a increasingly tribal, increasingly disconnected society. The movies are one of the last things that people can still all talk about. People know about the Marvel movies and can talk about them in a way that 50, 60 years ago, there were tons of different things. There were beyond just like the weather and sports, and like, we don't even consume the same news anymore. Movies are like one of the final threads that knit us together. And if we get rid of the movie-going experience, if we hive that off too to become a completely self-contained, agoraphobic experience, I fear we're going to lose something really important. And once lost, it cannot be regained.
I thought it kind of had a rebound the last couple of
weeks.
It
is. Movie attendance is way up this year as opposed to last year.
You know what it is?
The summer's doing a lot better.
The real way to fix this, make more shark movies.
Yeah, that's
always
true.
do well.
Shark movies do well, but there's a whole bunch of competing factors here as well. Like, TV has gotten so much better that movies aren't competing with other movies now. They're competing with prestige TV and shows that are on Netflix that have the budget or more of movies that are just as good that you can watch from home, and you can get a subscription and then share it with someone else and pay like $3 a month for it. And TVs themselves are so much better. Like, you can go out and buy a 70-inch TV full like 4K, and like a high-end one's going to run you a couple grand, but like the lowest end one, which is still super awesome, is going to be like $1,300.
Yep.
So you don't need to go. Before, you needed to go to the movie theater to have that sound experience that you needed to have to see stuff on a big screen. Even to see stuff on a big screen, like what it's shot for, most things are shot in digital now anyway and might actually look better on a condensed screen. There are certain movies, I agree, that you want to see as big as possible. And that's why you see so many superhero movies being made, these big budget movies, because those are the ones that you do want to see on a giant screen, or even IMAX movies. And like you said, I like to go to these movies that when P.T. Anderson shoots something on 70 millimeter, I want to see it shown in that aspect ratio on that type of film, because I think there's a graininess that just makes, that's how he intended the movie to look. Yeah. And that's how it's lit, that's how it's shot, that's how the costumes are designed, that I think there's something cool about going to the movie and seeing it that way. But most movies, like your run-of-the-mill movie, that's why Netflix is like cornering the market on like romantic comedies, because you don't need to go to the theater to go see those.
Yeah.
And if you want to get a hand job, you can get that at home, not at the movie theater.
What was the really good romantic comedy came out this week? It killed at the movie theater. Crazy Rich Asians.
So then why? So that that's a completely different conversation.
And
that's another way to save the movies is just put ethnic groups who feel undervalued in movies, and they'll go see them. This has been a concept that Tyler Perry's been making money off of
for
for
the
2
past,
decades
yeah,
now.
for the past 15 years. Yeah, I would label that more as I guess it's technically a romantic comedy, but it's a movie that has all Asian cast. That's the cachet of that movie.
Yes.
It's not that it's a romantic comedy.
And apparently, most importantly, it happens to be good.
Sure.
Every review I've read of it said people, it's a really good movie, and that matters.
It does, but it's not the carrying factor.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great idea.
If you had the same cast and a very similar concept, and you made it a movie that was equally as good and had a mixed cast of everything, it just wouldn't have the same cachet. And it would not have made as much money.
No.
Yeah,
but
that could be
it's something to exploit. It's not going to go away.
It's smart
So
to
then
exploit
It's
it.
very... I mean, they tried... There was... what was the Matt Damon movie?
Matt Damon.
2 years ago?
Green Zone.
No. Great Wall. They tried it. There was a cross-production between a film department in China and this giant Hollywood studio. It was just... The movie was terrible, and it still starred Matt Damon.
And it bombed, but didn't it make like billions of dollars in China?
I don't know if it did that well in China either, because I think that the thing was still that the main star
Was
was
a white
Matt
guy?
Damon.
Yeah.
So going 100% into whatever direction you decide to go into, yeah, you're going to have results like this.
But I mean, that's also, it's not that you can't get people to go to the movies, you need to give them a reason to go to a movie. And what we've seen is Tim's talking about like the breakup of culture, that people will watch stuff on their phones. I think half of Tim's problem with like why he loves the movie so much is because he's incapable of downloading a torrent. He doesn't know how that fancy magic
could
works.
be very true,
So just
yeah.
his incompetence is really leading to most of this argument. But you see this broken down to whether it's people on Reddit, and that's all they do all day. They just talk about their one thing that they really love with, you know, a little tiny group of people, these niche little groups. But if you expand it to something huge like the movies, and you have an all Asian cast for something, that's a huge section of the population. If it's an all black cast, or it's a film or TV show predominantly aimed at black people, then black people are going to go see that movie. Then it's just exploiting an audience, and it's been around for ages.
Yeah.
So you run a movie theater. What would you do to increase turnout?
Not
So
own a movie theater. You know what I like?
It's probably
you know
not
what
the best
I
time.
mean, I have it in my portfolio of dying businesses along with my Beeper franchise.
Well, see, now I don't think it is a dying business. Because
Then why are we trying to save it?
Well, because it will never be dead, but it can ebb to such a point that it's a real husk of even what it is now. And so I'm saying, what would you do if you think that, like me, that there's a value in preserving the movie-going experience, and you both kind of conceded that you do, that there are certain instances where going to the theater is a more important or useful viewing experience. What would you do to resuscitate the industry?
Make it cheaper, like you mentioned, I do think is number one. But if I owning a movie theater independently is really tough, because what the studios are going to start doing, and we're already seeing this go down now, that whether it's Disney, but I bet you Paramount will end up getting into this, or make some deal with Fox, because Fox is doing it, that they're all just going to own their own version of Netflix and release the movies both in the theaters and on that too.
Yeah.
And people will pay more for the movie at home.
Yes.
Like if it's $15 a ticket to go to the movies, and you have to split it up between, like, it's $15 per person, and there's even two of you going, that if they just charge you $20 for it at home, and you can have as many people over to watch it as you want, or even just two of you, it's cheaper to do it that way.
Yeah, but I think again, we could have all the ideas we possibly want. It comes down to price. It's if movie tickets were cheaper, if concessions were cheaper, people would be more willing to go.
Also, it's baked in that there's just more to do now.
Yes.
Stuff is easier to do. Stuff is
Wasn't
more
the huge-
accessible and easier. Like going to a movies used to be an event. It's like people.
Well, it
used to
even
love-
just used to be no one else has air conditioning.
This is true.
That's why people went. Like very simple things were the reasons people went to movies, but simple things are no longer outliers.
So
everyone can, like you said, everyone has amazing televisions now. Everyone has air conditioning in their homes. Most people do, but there isn't this giant draw to go to a movie aside from the movie itself, and I don't know. There's no real way to say that across the board we can make movies better. I think stunt casting, like we saw with Crazy Rich Asians, that's going to do a little bit to help.
And then that will peter out. Then we'll have to come up with something new. And
But there's these trends. I just think it comes down to cost.
put it this way: adding intermissions to movies
Not gonna
is
help.
not going to help anyone. Just the access of information of finding things to do is just much easier. Before, it'd be like, hey, let's go to a movie. I'll open up the paper. It starts at 6:45.
Yeah.
I don't have information on anything.
Looking in a newspaper.
Or you
to
can
find
phone
movie
Kramer
times.
on movie phone.
You kid.
Either way, that information was readily accessible to you 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Now that we all have phones, we can figure out whatever to do.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find things to do anymore. So it's going to still be profitable. because these big movies are going to be events that people go see.
Yeah.
But it's more event-based. That's why you see no middle tier of movies anymore.
It's true. And I
and
think
most of the smaller indie movies will just move to Hulu and Netflix and Amazon.
yes. And I think, too, that, Tim, you're trying to make this point of how do we save movies in the sense that saving movies or your equivalent of saving movies would be turning them again into these major cultural touchstones. That's not going to happen. We don't live in a monoculture anymore, and we're not going to live in a monoculture anytime soon.
Yeah, I think that's oversold. I think we are far more monocultural than we think we are. But those are all. That's a fair point. I understand what you're saying.
But there's only so many things that can be monoculture now. Where before there was something every 2 weeks that everyone was in on and everyone paid attention to. We got Trump now.
Yeah.
Trump is monoculture.
That is true.
Everyone pays attention to Trump.
And the NFL. The NFL is monoculture.
No, it's not though. No, people like the NFL.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the biggest sport that North America
But even the
has.
biggest sport is.
But
middling at
sports
best.
is still
It's the biggest sport
sports
by so much.
Sure,
though.
but sports is still sports.
Yeah.
Sports isn't everything to everyone.
Fair. Okay.
So anyway, that's where we're at. Tell me about standing desks.
I have a real problem with standing.
He restrained himself from saying hate.
Yeah, big shocker that standing up is something you don't like doing. You strike me as a big sitter or a laying down.
Can I guess how this came about just before you reveal how it came about? Is the Canadian government trying to tell you to go to a standing desk? Because it's more ergonomic for you?
Did you find people at your office are using standing desks?
Some do.
Because I was very against them too.
But this goes back to teaching in political science. For a lot of people at standing desks.
Okay, because I'll just say that I was very against standing desks as well. And then I started using one. A lot of people like the DraftKings office, like when I fly down there, like Jankowski has a standing desk.
Doesn't shock me.
So there was Chirag was away one day. I was there for like 6 hours or something. Oh, I'll use this standing desk. I'll try it out. Felt great. I had great energy the entire day. Like I was very engaged with what I was doing, where I find if you sit down and do things, you can become very lazy.
So let me lay out my case, because it's not that I'm against standing desks per se. They're inanimate objects. What I have a
You're
problem
pro inanimate objects.
I don't have a problem with it. What I have a problem with are the people who have to let you know they use a standing desk and have to walk by and mention that you would like things much better if you had a standing desk. Or don't you know that sitting is the new smoking? Anytime
I like that. I like that. That's a good one. Sitting is the new smoking.
Anytime I hear that canard, I want to scream because it's such nonsense on stilts.
Also because you get triggered by everything.
I just think it's because he thinks that there's these weird people out there who think that sitting gives you the same rush as a nice cool cig on a hot
Oh, is
night.
that's where you're coming from? Okay, I didn't realize that was your argument.
This is just
that
a
sitting and smoking.
argument,
Yeah, okay, I didn't realize that. Continue, Tim.
My point is, if you want to work at a standing desk, have at it. I got no objection to it. But it's not an event. You're not special. You don't need to lecture me on its benefits. I don't want one.
So
put it this way: if I ran a company, and I do, but there's only two of us, so what are we going to do? If I ran some sort of office structure, standing desk only, you would have to use a standing desk.
That's what I would say. I think if
unless
your
you were
argument
like
is
handicapped
you
like
hate,
Tim.
I would bring in a chair.
Well, then you'd be fired, Tim.
Go ahead.
Because I think it makes sense for companies. I think if your argument is you dislike standing desks, it's that, maybe you're for unions and just workers having the free will to sit down if they want to sit down.
I would prefer to do as little as possible today. I just want to have a sit and be on my way. I
understand.
I've seen the real results. Standing desk increase efficiency.
And I'm with you, but I'm saying if I were to be against them in any way, it would be that I wouldn't want my company, who might be exploiting me. I've worked for some exploitative companies in the past. I wouldn't want them necessarily dictating my work efficiency if I didn't feel my compensation was. But that's more of a particular thing. But my big thing right now is, Tim, your whole argument here is you hate standing desks because you don't like people telling you how to live your life. And you're making this statement in the middle of an hour-long show where the only thing you're doing is telling people how to live their lives.
I am simply giving recommendations of what I'm simply trying to provide guidance and structure and advice to the people.
Okay, so to back on Garion's point here, what is really the difference between someone telling you, I can't believe people would work at a sitting desk, and you being like, if you eat cereal by putting your milk in second over the cereal, you're a pleb?
It's the condescension that I have to...
You call me plebs!
No, because I'm not doing it in a condescending way.
Because you're not talking to them face to face.
I feel like it's more pretentious to eat cereal the way you do than brag about a standing desk.
It can't be pretentious if it involves holding the box and putting it.
It's a very low version of pretend. It's like
listen,
it's like what low people think that like high class culture is.
Right. Okay.
No, and
So like
I'm
some people drink like really fancy wine. Some people eat caviar and eat hors d'oeuvres, that kind of thing. Tim, to fancy up his life, dips his cereal in milk, one spoonful at a time.
I'm also making an analogy to ancient Rome, where the tribunes represented the plebs.
Oh.
That's why I use the word pleb, because it connects, because I know what history is.
Okay, please continue.
That was it drives me, and there's a whole drive everywhere in civil society now about how, you shouldn't be sitting. Sitting is dangerous for you, blah, blah, blah. This natural human function that people have been doing that are biologically created to do, and that a part of human society. Oh, you shouldn't do that. That's the same as smoking tobacco. Oh, you're killing yourself by being seated. I find that to be such nonsense and is so pernicious and crazy that it just shows how off the deep end we're going with some of these fringe theories.
But you want some 16-year-old kid to come up to me in a movie theater while I'm enjoying a good sit and tell me that I have to go outside and have a cigarette and enjoy my 15-minute intermission.
Or stand.
Or I'll be kicked out.
Or stand. The horror.
Oh.
You'd be kicked out for using your phone because you're not supposed to use your phone in the theater.
Also, most people don't even use their phones in movies anymore, I found.
No.
Like, I feel like people are past that.
There's like time
I was
play.
going to the same theater as you.
You probably don't even go to the fucking movies. You love to have hot opinions on things you don't do.
I was just at the movies 2 weeks ago, I'll let you know.
All right, and did you have a big problem with people on phones?
Yes, I noticed it.
Maybe.
And I wrote it down.
I feel like you're looking for these things.
You just go out of it, like, this stuff about the desk, this stuff about the cereal, about going to movies. You just go out of your way to be triggered. And it's okay, because you're a snowflake and you live your truth.
No, I'm not.
But this is just a way that you have to realize that you consume being out in society, and the rest of us just don't give a shit about things and just let stuff slide. You can't do that. You have to be outraged.
Is anyone really pressuring you to get a standing desk at the end of the day? Is anyone
No.
standing in your way to get to your chair?
Or sitting in your way.
No, but this was happening years ago. I was hearing from people saying to me in my office out west, you really should get a standing desk.
You should. You should actually get a standing desk.
Maybe they're concerned.
Yeah, maybe they're like, Tim, man, you could use some more exercise. Standing desk.
These mall walks.
Help you build. I mean, you can't go on as many mall walks anymore. True. Standing desks, it'll help your back. Your arch support will be better. Your posture will be better. And you'll burn some calories along the way and be more productive at work. I don't see where the downside comes in. Unless you just want to be lazy and do nothing.
I do not want to stand at a desk all day. I am not doing that.
It's harder to take a nap at a standing desk. That's true.
I'll go on record with Tim. I also don't want to stand at a desk all day.
I'm sure most people would just prefer to sit down all
I don't
day
care
long.
if somebody next to me is standing at a desk and mentions to me, hey,
I don't care if
I'm
they
more
are
productive this way. I'd be like,
like
you probably are. Maybe I'll try it one day. No one's forcing my hand.
You're going to have to stand the next time you come in.
Oh.
We'll have a standing set only.
Oh.
Not as good as when we put him outside the glass window in that stool and had him outside the theater.
I like the outside stool.
At least you got to sit.
It's true.
We didn't make you stand outside
Real
the
high
glass.
stool, though.
Anyway, that was my point. I'm enraged by that. So.
Yeah, you're triggered. No shit.
I'm not triggered.
Sounds like you're triggered. What makes you more triggered, this or Doug the Pug?
I'm not triggered by Doug the Pug and his green screens and his fake followers and his lack of funny and his owner's unoriginality.
Doug.
I'm not triggered by that at all.
Wait, are you insinuating that Doug does not actually come up with his own posts?
That's what he's saying. Like, I saw
That's
Doug take a
ridiculous.
selfie like 2 days ago. Also, he had an Instagram story.
Mm-hmm.
He did a meet and greet in Chicago. Over 1,000 people showed up to meet Doug.
In a city of how many
What a
million?
hero.
Oh, wow.
What a hero.
Okay, well, okay,
Oh,
Tim.
wow.
All right, Tim. Let's bring you to Chicago and see how many people show up to meet you. They also had to pay $20 to meet Doug. What a racket!
Wow.
These people were paid to stand there by the Doug the Pug industry. I have no doubt
yes, crisis actors.
Yeah, Doug is a crisis. Doug's fans are
I
crisis
will say,
actors.
if you're a crisis actor, that's a pretty good gig in comparison to some of the other stuff you have to go to.
That's true.
Gotta cry a whole lot. Gotta do a whole lot of emotional
Tim should be a
acting.
crisis actor. He's already outraged by
It's true.
everything anyway.
I'm not outraged. You have no idea what I let slide. This
What?
is the stuff I get mad about.
Do you have a list of things you let slide? Because this seems really petty.
No, well, yes, actually, but I don't need to get into them.
No, give me one.
I went to Subway the other day, and they've got this whole new setup, and I almost fell through the sneeze guard because they they aren't sturdy anymore. And I like to lean on the glass.
Gotta get a good lean going.
So I can observe the vegetables to make sure I describe which pickles I want them to take.
Oh,
which
wait, whoa.
Hold on.
You asked them for individual specific pickles?
Yeah, I don't want the ones on the top that people have touched or have been in the air
man.
with germs.
Why do you go to, if this stuff concerns you, why do you go to Subway?
Just make your own sandwich.
Yeah.
It tastes excellent. I like to eat fresh, as they say. But no, they've got this whole modern setup where it's very
But
it's almost like being inside a rocket ship inside, and the sneeze guards have a lot of give to them now. They're not solid.
I probably know the answer to this question, but going to Subway, having them put the sauces on your sandwich and then having them wrap it really tight, stick it in a bag, and you have to take it home, wouldn't that be the same principle of the milk in the cereal? By the time it gets home, your bread is all soggy from the wet lettuce, from the dressing. Now, you're going to respond that you eat in the Subway because it looks like a rocket ship. So, I don't know why I bring this up.
I'm going to the moon!
I can't remember the last time I took Subway home. I almost always eat right in the restaurant.
Ew, Subway has that weird
Because I
smell
get my
to
subs
it.
toasted, and it's hot, and I want to eat it while it's hot.
You
Because I like hot
your
food.
subs toasted at Subway?
Of course I do.
What's the point of going to Subway? Then just go to Quiznos. And
Quiznos
Quiznos also sucks because they toast everything. Toasted
Yeah.
subs. Get over yourself.
Anyway, so I wasn't going to bring that up. I was going to let that slide. That I don't know why Subway did that. It's very disconcerting. I'm not the only person, I'm sure, who leans on the glass. And
Why are you leaning on the glass?
Well, because I need to get a good vantage point and a view of all the vegetables so I can tell them which ones to
gotta
use. And I
pick
also
between the veggies.
need to see the sauce containers to see if there's a crust around the outside top. Because if there is, I don't want that sauce.
Sometimes there's a crust around the top of a sauce container of a restaurant you go to, stop going to that restaurant.
Well, I like Subway.
Your particular fancy tastes and really bizarre things does not mesh well with Subway.
Well, I mean, but it does because I'm a loyal customer that despite various things that they've done that have annoyed me, I still keep going.
I will say, of anyone to have complaints about Subway, I think, not that they're justified in any way, but Tim should be allowed to complain because Subway has not gotten free advertising out of any single person more than Tim. You did bring up Sparrow earlier, and I was curious.
Is it actually advertising if Tim is bringing it up? I feel like that's hurting your brand.
That's a good point.
Also, if Tim had a standing desk, he wouldn't need to lean. He'd have the vantage point with better posture.
That's true.
They tweet at me like the Colorado Rockies do.
What a poor Rockies. Didn't know what they were getting into. I was going to say, that Tim, have you seen the Ringers Pizza Matrix?
No, I haven't. Is it pretentious?
It was
I
Pizza
bet you it is.
I mean, yeah, because they Lou Malnati's is the best one. But Sparrow ranked very,
also have
very
Lost
lowly.
is the best TV episode. So.
Oh!
I
the
thought that was
Constant's
Constant's
a pretty
amazing.
awesome episode. And the Breaking Bad
Yeah,
episode
to
they
say it's
picked.
the best episode of television in the 20th century
What's-
or whatever.
what's your best
What would be
episode?
your pick?
Anyone who doesn't pick the suitcase is just
They
feel
had
like
it
they're just
It was
cheating.
number 2 on their list.
But it should be number one.
According to you, it should be number
It
1.
should be number one.
I mean,
Yeah,
I thought the train heist episode of Breaking Bad is probably the best.
yeah,
that could be number
that's-
2 or
that's
3.
a really
That's a
good
fantastic.
episode.
But that wasn't the Breaking Bad that was on.
I think for me,
Well, you're just getting mad at. That's not even my favorite Lost episode. The best Lost episode.
They're all the same. I watched every episode of Lost. Lost was a terrible disappointment. It was.
But I watched every episode of it though. Anyway,
I watched it start to finish because I didn't know the numbers were going to be meaningless. And
But,
it all just
but now
that's-
you're-
you can't judge a television show.
you're
by,
retroactively
I
disliking
enjoyed
it.
it for 6 years, and then because it didn't wrap up all my questions, now I hate it. You still enjoyed it for 6 years.
yeah, Sam and I actually
enjoyed
just
it for
did.
3.5.
We just rewatched all of Lost like 3 weeks ago.
It's very rewatchable.
Oh, it's
very
it's
fun.
awesome. And
The last season is so
Shut
good.
up! Let me fucking finish my point. The best episode of Lost, I think it's episode 4 of season 5. Because my favorite part of Lost.
You love the time
I
travel
love the time
element,
travel stuff. That's like the best 2-season run of almost any show. That it's the one where Sawyer and they meet up with Jin and Locke's around, and you get to see the island from like 6 different age periods.
Oh.
And Locke ends up in the well to turn the
Yeah.
island back. Spoiler on Lost. That's the best episode.
That's
That
a
or the
great one.
Jughead one when they find the nuclear bomb back in like 1949.
Yeah. I really loved some of the simple episodes from like the first and second seasons. Like I like the one where they find the van. Hurley just finds the van. They keep pushing it down the hill. There's some great episodes of Lost. I would say that in Mad Men, what would be a deterrent, I guess, if you were to go back and try to rank these episodes, is Lost, like, just with the way it's constructed. It's a mystery show. It kind of builds. So if you are rewatching it and you're binge watching it, I think there's a want to go back and continue to watch and continue to see the next episode, where Mad Men doesn't really build like that in a rewatch setting.
No, but without Lost, Breaking Bad doesn't happen.
Oh, sure.
Breaking Bad is a way better show than Lost. I'm not going to argue that. But its structure is basically just ripped off what Lost did.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is if you are doing a list 10 years later and having to go back and rewatch all these shows, I could see there being more of a... I could see them saying The Constant is better than The Suitcase just because the build-up around a binge rewatch, you'd just be more amped to rewatch Lost in a binge sense than Mad Men. Mad Men is a show best enjoyed...
One or two at a time.
Yeah, very segmented, spread out.
Like it's almost like rewatch. Like The Wire can get super like bingey if you get into it, but the episodes
heavy.
are long. Yeah, it can be super heavy. Mad Men's kind of the same. That
even Breaking Bad, the first couple seasons are.
Yeah, but then you get into like it gets into the there's a cliffhanger after every episode. It's like you're on drugs when you're watching it.
Yeah,
and you're like, I need to watch the next one.
20 episodes of The Sopranos better than anything Lost produced. Like, I'm sorry, I don't buy this. Don't buy this for a second.
So
mediocre.
So you just don't like it. Like a lot of people like The West Wing, and you think it's trash.
No, I don't think it's trash. I think there were some really good episodes. I think the ending was predictable and terrible. And I thought that the season where they brought some conservatives into the writing room and actually let them do some writing was actually pretty decent.
So he likes the non-Sorkin years of The West Wing,
yes,
which is maybe the hottest take of all.
Yeah, like when John Goodman took over as president for 3 or 4 episodes. Those were actually enjoyable.
You know,
I like those.
Do you know why it actually ended how it did?
Because the actual guy who played Leo died.
Yeah.
And they thought that the audience was too soft-hearted to be able to handle the fact that the guy who should have lost, who they were setting it up to lose, didn't lose.
Yeah, Alan Arkin was going to win.
As if on election day that wouldn't have affected... Anyway.
Well, it's not... Tim, it wasn't a real thing. It's a fictional show.
I know, but...
Hold on. Do you know that?
It pretended to be a real show. So it wanted to be.
I feel like a lot of shows pretend to be real. I think that's I would say that's one of the major defining. You want a monoculture? I would say all shows in the world try to pretend they're actually happening.
Maybe not Venture Brothers. I think they know they're not happening.
Venture Brothers is back, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm fired up about it. When you have to show me the episodes.
Well, no, but you'll have to illegally stream them.
No, just find whenever a theater decides to play them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're 5 episodes in now to the new season. That's a show I will not binge watch. I watch it because I only get 8 new episodes every 3 years.
Yeah,
I really want to savor them.
Yeah, it's true.
Although I've watched the first 2 so far. Excellent. It is my favorite.
Dr. Orpheus involved?
He wasn't. They brought back basically everyone in the first episode.
Nice.
Okay, nice.
And now we're into like the individual stories again. But it's my favorite show of this millennium.
Yeah.
So I think that's an island I'm on my own with like 3 other people.
Yeah, but that's fine.
That's why we have Reddit, so we can go talk about Venture Brothers.
It's a very, very meticulously written show. I think if you
Yes,
take the time to
fantastic.
actually watch, like, because we have this conversation all the time. There's shows that you put on in the background as you're doing something else, and there's shows that you actually watch. And I think if you actually watch Venture Brothers, it's a very enjoyable experience. But it's a show that if you're kind of slipping off for 4 or 5 seconds,
it's a lot like Lost in that way. You can't just jump in season 4.
I tried that with Lost, actually.
Yeah, you really do need to watch everything from the beginning.
No idea what was happening.
So I just got this.
You were the lucky one.
I just got a text message from producer Paul Shaughnessy. And what would you say? Do you know what Twitter audit is, Tim?
No.
So Twitter audit shows you the percentage of fake followers you have versus real followers.
You know what? I don't want to have this conversation. I know where this is going.
So your Twitter audit, at Tim Anderson 87, 92% real followers. That's pretty good. That's very much on the high end. Doug the Pug, 96% real followers.
So you're saying that Twitter audit is in on it too?
So this is how you're going to choose to live your life.
I don't know what to say other than it's all green screen and all fake, and I don't understand how that dog can be more popular and into pop culture when I'm clearly better into pop culture.
Space Force. That's where we're at with this Space Force. Big on Space Force. I think it's a great idea. Who doesn't love space?
That's what they should be making more movies about space.
If this is how we can get like real life Star Trek here, we're good.
We went through a stretch where we had 2 movies about space. We had a bad one called Gravity, a great one called Interstellar, and then we just stopped making them about space.
Great movie called Interstellar. I like Interstellar more than most.
I mean, Gravity was actually a perfect example of one of those movies that you needed to see in IMAX.
Had to see that.
Because it was like,
I agree with
whoa.
So much of its value did come from the visual of it.
Yeah, that's why it won
not
like
a whole lot
11
afterwards.
technical Oscars.
Yeah. Oh, Tim, want to talk about that?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I want to talk more about this best TV stuff. Were you surprised? I mean, I wasn't, that there was no Simpsons episode on the list.
Well, it was best TV episodes
Of the 2000s.
Oh, well, so what would
that
that include? Season 10 would be the cutoff point there?
Season 11 on. Yeah.
Season 11 on.
Has there been a good Simpsons episode in the last 20 years, I guess is the question.
I think there are a couple episodes from season 11, season 12 that I didn't mind. I think too, and this speaks to just everyone's personal preferences and how we tend to reconcile what's good and what's not good, and there's a certain nostalgia factor. But when I started watching The Simpsons, I would have been 12, so that's 2004. So anything that was in heavy rotation, I guess I was catching the first 13 to 14 seasons in rerun. So I consider prime era Simpsons to be the first 14 seasons just because that's what I was continuously catching up on. So there were episodes I did like, but I tend to not. I haven't even watched Simpsons in, I would say, 10 years.
Yeah, and like I've probably seen.
Oh yeah, there are a couple. Like I'm just looking at a list here. We have like Old Springfield and New Springfield is 2000, so that counts. That's a really good episode.
No, is that the one with the
Yes,
Who?
it is. Behind the Laughter is 2000.
I do like Behind the Laughter.
But like, I guess maybe it's being maybe these are good episodes compared to like episodes, but compared to good episodes of The Simpsons, they're not good.
That's the thing that I think you have the problem with is I think people would see an episode of The Simpsons on the list and it would be Old Springfield, New Springfield, and they'd be saying this is not the best episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah, it's not
What
like
is happening.
It's not like Garbo is coming. Like I feel like there's none of that in New Simpsons, and maybe it's because.
Have you watched Disenchantment yet?
No. Is it good? Like that's the new Matt Groening one?
Yeah.
I never felt like Matt Groening was the reason I liked The Simpsons. I thought he was the worst part of The Simpsons.
It is interesting just to watch it. There's a certain level of comfort because it is the formula is almost exactly the same. If it's not hitting at the same points, you know when they're trying to hit. So I guess there's a simplicity to it, but that definitely falls into the, hey, I'm going to put this on as I do something else kind of.
When did Futurama debut? 99?
Futurama was, I think it was actually 2000, wasn't it?
So,
that was the whole
so that means that the biggest snub of this entire list
was Futurama, yeah.
Was Futurama and the Roberto episode. Now stand back. I gotta practice my stabbing.
Mainframe.
Hey, Red! See, Tim would fit in perfectly.
Napoleon.
Yeah, Tim would go to an insane robot asylum.
But thankfully, that's almost over.
There it is.
Anything else we missed from that? TV episodes?
I guess
Was
Ozymandias was pretty low.
What
That
was the Arrested Development episode that was on it? Because it's hard to pinpoint one Arrested Development episode.
I don't know if they actually had one.
The pilot episode of Arrested Development is pretty good.
Well, and that's the thing. It's really from a jumping in standpoint. That's the only episode you can jump into and have any semblance of what's going on.
I feel like that's overstated.
Do you?
I feel like
maybe not.
Peak enjoyment
you can
of
know
Arrested
what's going on,
Development
but you wouldn't enjoy it at the same level.
Yes, agreed. That's why you can rewatch that show 1,000 times and it just continues to get funnier.
But that's just to go back to Lost for a second. I would say that even just the pilot of Lost is probably one of the best 3 episodes.
It's one of the best pilots ever, for sure.
Yeah.
It's also like the most expensive pilot of all time, too.
Yeah.
Besides, I assume the Game of Thrones pilot.
Yeah. I don't know if there were any massive snubs that I could. I mean, it was 100 shows.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a little too much lean on like just terrible reality television.
Well, the episode of The Challenge that ended up getting in was.
Oh my God.
I don't think that's the best. I'm trying to think of what the best.
But it probably was the most notable episode of The
It's
Challenge.
true. It has the biggest moment from The Challenge. I think the best episode of The Challenge is the season premiere of the original Rivals when Adam Royer gets into a fight and gets kicked off after him and Leroy win the first challenge.
Well, that's the thing.
That's a really
it would
good
be one of the episodes where they actually used to drink and fight.
Yeah. Which they do now again.
Do they?
The Challenge has been fire.
Really?
Yeah. Challenge is good again.
I have MTV.
You should
So I should definitely be watching The Challenge.
It's on
okay.
tonight.
There we go. Sweet. I'm excited.
We can do a challenge recap.
Amazing. I'll get my SIG pack out.
Yeah. Paul's behind the camera. You can't just be jotting down notes. All right. So, Tim, tell us about what were the other things you had on your list?
New Oscar rules.
Yeah,
New Oscar rules, the balloon ban, and the green zone.
All right. Tell me about the balloon ban.
As I predicted, once the eco guys got their hands on our straws. The next move has been now to try to ban balloons. Right now, it's just starting with helium balloons, but it's going to creep and continue on to other balloons because it's the same thing. Oh, it produces too much plastic, too much rubber, bad for the environment. Because just like with straws, they don't want us to have fun. They don't want us to enjoy things that.
I thought you just said you were in on science, and now that science
Give me
is
one
telling you this
example
is
of
bad.
how balloons impact your day-to-day life.
Oh, I can explain this one very easily for Tim. Do you know what Tim does when like people aren't around and he's not?
Just rubs a balloon in his
No,
frizzy hair.
well, he does. He has the fro go, and he gets very good static electricity. But he goes to like
when he's not wearing his Jumbo Jets hat.
exactly. What he does is he goes to like the grocery store and goes to the helium and fills up a whole bunch of balloons, and he goes home. And Tim doesn't do drugs, so he doesn't smoke a lot of pot. So he goes home and like inhales a little bit of helium, and then he says something like in the helium voice, and then he has a gig fit for like 3 straight hours.
Well, Tim, you can kind of cut out the middleman. You could just go buy helium and not have to,
Helium's
create
expensive
this.
these days. There's a shortage.
Well, I guess you gotta just buy some marijuana then.
No,
October
but
17th is coming up.
It's not even so much about the balloons that annoys me. It's about the fact that when I said that the banning of straws was the thin end of the wedge, and it wasn't going to stop here. It was going to metastasize. Next, it'll be your pop bottles. And then it'll be, any number of other plastic things that you like and appreciate. Your mini sips will be gone. Everything will be taken from
Mini-sips?
you. Everything that you love made of plastic.
Who loves straws?
Who loves mini sips?
I don't
Who
care.
over the age
them
of
together.
who over the age of 6 years old likes mini sips?
I also don't care about the transport that gets me the food or beverage. I care about the food or the beverage.
Also, do you find it strange that everything that you're passionate about is just awful for you?
How is a straw bad for me?
But you're saying that you used to consume like mini sips, which are just raw sugar.
Well, whatever. I don't just use it for that.
What else do you use straws for? What?
Cans of pop.
Yeah, what?
Ah, the juice
The
boxes.
juice boxes, of course.
Juice boxes and cereal.
Cans
What a
of
life.
pop, stuff like that.
Yeah, so nothing good for you.
You use straws in a can of pop?
I know.
Why?
That's
he's a
why
child.
there's that little
'Cause he's a
hole
child.
in the tab
That
of a can of pop.
Oh, by the way, that's fake. That's
Stop.
actually fake news. That's not true.
That's what I was always taught.
Yeah, it's fake news. So people are just feeding you propaganda, Tim, and you believe it.
Well, I do because it works perfectly.
Yeah, because I actually have one of these things written down as one of the topics that you don't even read anymore. You just read headlines and believe them. And then you just
No, I don't.
twist them into whatever because you were freaking out about the millennial carb-free diet that's really bad for you. And then you started espousing about how, see, this is why you shouldn't be on a carb-free diet. But I actually read that article you were talking about. Didn't actually say anything like that in it.
I just saw the headline and it did satisfy the intuition that I had, and I ran with it because it's Twitter and that's just what people do.
So you just disputed when I said that's what you do, and you just admitted
I'm
that's
not-
what you do.
In that instance, I did that, but I don't. That's not my routine. But like,
Well, to be
it's
again,
Twitter.
that's what really gets Tim all the clicks at Breitbart's. Steve all the clicks at Breitbart. So really, you can't blame him for these tactics.
He
kind of
doesn't even
spilling
work
over.
at Breitbart anymore. He was fired.
I
Tim
know.
took his
Tim took his
job.
job. There we go.
And he hates all those left-wing people with their stand-up desks in the Breitbart offices. He's going to get them out of there.
My point on the straws and the balloons is that this environmental.
What's your fear, though? What is the
Yeah.
worst case scenario of them figuring out a
I'm
more
being forced to
environmentally friendly
sacrifice-
way to get you your drinks?
That I am being asked to sacrifice creature comforts in my life for no discernible difference in the environment. That's the problem. You can take away my straws. That's not going to make a real dent in when it comes to around the world, the amount of plastics that get collected in the ocean or the amount of greenhouse gases that get produced.
How many straws are produced a year in North America? I would have to say it's millions.
But isn't
Sure, and
but isn't this always the argument, especially for people like Tim who deny that climate change is a real thing?
No, I don't do that.
Anyway,
Again, just putting words in my mouth that I do not believe.
do you believe in climate change?
Sure, everyone should believe in climate change. The climate's clearly changing.
Do you think
Sounded
it's an issue?
I think it's an issue, but I think that there are a lot of important issues, and
The answer is no.
it's
Like
one
getting
amongst
more
many.
plastic into
like,
households.
like Get your damn hands off my straws!
Oh, do you think
No, but I
big
don't think
plastic
I
is
should be-
paying Tim?
Probably.
Interesting.
No one pays
2018,
him.
I should not have to sacrifice the creature comforts of my life
But
in order to satisfy an ecological obsession rather than something that would make practical difference and change in the world.
No, but here's the whole thing. It's sort of a mindset that you start gearing yourself towards having.
It's a gateway straw.
It is. It's a gateway type of. But the whole thing is, if there is no way to actually replace straws won't actually go anywhere. So capitalism needs to find a way to make a straw that is equally as good, but good for the environment. Isn't this how we solve our problems, Tim? Is that we've acknowledged that a bunch of plastic is bad for the environment. Is it like as impactful as, like Chinese coal mines or whatever the hell they're doing? No. Like, I think the real problem with like climate change is like India and China with their like technology from 200 years ago. That's really the problem. But if we can get people on the same page in conserving energy and conserving plastic and just reducing waste in general, that if you can find an economic way of doing this is spurring, like, even green technology is spurring new industry. So if you can find an economic, cheaper way to do it, capitalism will solve all of these problems for us.
And you give those countries a blueprint to be to even have higher economic success.
Well, the problem is when you have like slave labor in your countries, it doesn't get much cheaper.
Coal's
than that.
coming back. So, I keep hearing all these things about coal.
Coal, so hot right now.
So I'm not opposed to anything you said other than I am concerned that these will be mandated by the state and not allow, I shouldn't say capitalism is a word that Marxists use. Free markets will allow.
Did you just call me a Marxist?
No, it's a word that was invented by real capitalists don't use the word capitalist. They use the word free markets or market-based solutions.
Racists don't call themselves racist. That's bad for the brand.
Market-based solutions to
that sounds like you're a part of like Scientology or something.
No, market-based solutions or free market solutions.
I'm not in a pyramid scheme, Garion. I'm in direct marketing.
I'm fine with everything, and if what you said is right, then the market will develop these things, and they'll take off, and the plastic ones will fall by the wayside. I don't think this is like lead in paint or lead in gasoline, where the state needs to intervene for the sake of a public health crisis. I think this is something that's left to the businesses themselves to decide.
I get that you don't want government interaction. That's fine. I don't think when I'm thinking about some sort of dystopian future, it doesn't really matter if I have access to like a plastic bottle of Crush or not.
But what he's saying is that this is a very slippery slope, Garion. First the straws.
I get that.
First the straws, then our mini sips, then our juice boxes. What's next? Our right to vote. That's Tim's.
Again, I know you're making light of this, but when you give a mouse a cookie, he wants a glass of milk, and if you have to be careful that when you start giving up creature comforts for the sake of an idea rather than something concrete, then you're willing to give it up again and again. And in each little instance, it doesn't matter. You're right. So what? I don't have a straw. So what?
But you're already triggered about the straws.
But you're saying too, like, if the straw thing isn't going to have an impact, but they can do this 3 or 4 times and take down 3 or 4 major elements or implements of surplus plastic that we don't need,
but that
then
will never be enough. But that won't but there will never be an end point here. There's no
but the whole point is that there's not supposed to be an endpoint. If you can come up with an environmentally friendly solution to these problems, 2 straws, 2 plastic bags, 2 plastic bottles, and replace them with something that's just better for the environment, and they serve essentially the same service, isn't that encouraging for the rest of the bad things in society, that we can find another solution that you can get the same output from it, but it's just better for the environment?
Listen, I would be perfectly happy if you could ask these people, say, give me a list of 6 or 7 things that if we got rid of these 6 or 7 things would reduce the consumption significantly, and then leave us alone after that. And that, that's to me a compromise that I'd be happy to make, but these people won't do it.
Tim
and once they get the 6 or 7,
constantly improve, he wants to improve once.
Yeah, he wants to improve once, and that's it. I'm good for 40 years.
It's similar to a left-right divide in politics. You ask somebody on the right, what do you want to see done? They can give you a list of 5 things, and if you do those 5 things, they'll be fine with everything else. But on the left, for example, they cannot give you 5 things. They'd want to give you 5, then 5 more, then 5 more. Like, there's a progressive versus people who are very respectful of the present, who sort of like.
I like my
grateful
politicians
for
to be
the present that we
100%
have.
now thinking.
Yeah,
Don't think about the future,
Yeah, I mean,
politicians.
isn't that what we love about the politicians? That they're just all caps and what's on their mind. Isn't that what we want now?
I want to be careful that we as a society don't give up particular creature comforts and liberties and get used to doing it. Once you start doing it once, you start doing it twice. It's not that
You
any
work
one of
for
these
the
individual
government.
things-
Yeah.
But they can,
Big government
and
Tim
often-
over here.
They can and often do lead to bad things down the road. One must be vigilant. That's all I'm
But
saying.
we're not talking about taking things away. We're talking about replacing things with stuff that is more economic or more environmentally friendly. It's no different than gas.
And probably will be more economically friendly.
Yeah, like if we can somehow and make solar power viable, or make some sort of these like a hybrid between like something like nuclear power. I like nuclear power. If we can find a good way to get rid of the nuclear waste, people are terrified that there's going to be like meltdowns. But I mean, how many meltdowns has there really been? Like 2 ever? And it's
I'm a big
so,
proponent of
yeah.
nuclear energy as well.
like it's cheaper. It's probably
Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear.
But either way, if you can replace gas with something that works just the same,
Yeah.
and it's cleaner, why wouldn't you do it? Especially if it's not like super expensive. Like, but isn't
Because
that
I
the
wonder-
but isn't that the mentality that we should be getting into with everything? And isn't that how the real environmental problem would be solved? That you take each individual problem as its own problem and you find a way to better it and make it more environmentally friendly. If you apply that to everything and you just find solutions for everything, then yeah, you're right. Just getting rid of straws isn't going to make one iota a difference. But if you take that same mentality to straws and gas and coal or whatever it is that's damaging the environment, and we apply those same principles and find better solutions for them, isn't that how the problem gets solved in the end?
Sure, and I think people of good intention, describing the way you did, could come to a meeting of the minds to develop just that sort of plan. I'm suspicious, however, that many involved in this process are doing it A, because it's a way to raise money to gin up outrage, and B, because they have sort of a pathological disposition against sort of modern comforts and really want to turn everything into a natural park. And it's just, so. And that they're not as good faith actors. That there's money to be made by being an environmental activist for certain circumstances. I'm not saying everybody's like that. Of course they're not. But I'm suspicious of the motives of some of the people in this play.
I think that's fair, but that's an entirely different conversation.
But I think you could say that about almost anything.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
you could
think
say that-
anyone is completely...
You could say that about my fantasy football advice. I'm really only doing it because I get paid to do it.
That is true.
No, but that's not the same thing. You have a genuine. It is significantly different.
It's all, it's all a bit.
political-
Yeah, there is a political aspect to it too, and there is most of the people are trying to get paid with whatever they do, regardless of what it is, but without any money behind it. And Tim, as you know, if you're not going to be able to raise money and get people behind it that way and get the sort of outside influence that you need, nothing will actually ever get done. It's scummy, but that's actually how politics works.
Oh no, and I'm not opposed with that's what a free system and a free society allows, is those sorts of competition of ideas. But it's when those people take control of the reins of the state and then start insisting to both punish their opposition and also to perpetrate sort of a narrow ideological agenda, that I'm concerned that people sacrificing their liberties little bit by little bit at a time is not good for self-governing people. And that's what I'm concerned about.
Okay, so on a very similar topic, someone tweeted to Tim, "Tim, you look like a guy who eats the Oreo whole without splitting it or dunking it in milk. You are Cust." Tim replied, "I eat it whole, and sometimes I dunk it in orange juice."
We've gone over this many times.
Oh, have we?
I
Oh.
knew the answer to that question.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not on the corner, we haven't. And that
I
is
think
what
we
I do.
think we
I
have.
think we just talked about this between ourselves.
Oh, maybe. It all blends together. It's like a
Explain
full
yourself.
Oreo.
What do you mean explain myself?
Dad.
It started.
When
It
you
started one
earn
day.
the day that you earn the insane person tag, this would be one of the references.
Tim, can I ask
would
just
use.
off the top? Let's say hypothetically, I could give you a pack of Oreos where the cream center was like orange flavored.
All right, that would be garbage, and you know it would be garbage.
How would that be different than dunking it in a glass of OJ?
Well, first, it would use disgusting artificial flavors to flavor.
Oh, because I'm what orange juice are you dunking this in?
I dunk it in Simply Orange, which is not from concentrate.
So honestly, do you think that your
Or Tropicana with lots of pulp.
So do you think that, like, how they produce the bottles of the orange juice that you're drinking, your Simply orange juice, which is like bottom of the barrel cheap orange juice?
It most certainly is.
It's the least expensive of orange juice. Also, you shouldn't drink orange juice.
Well, yeah, maybe at the Metro on Front Street, it's the least expensive.
Metro?
But in real Canada,
you understand that no matter where the store is, something is the most expensive and something is the least expensive. Depending.
There's knockoff like no name brand orange juice.
That's more expensive than this garbage. Anyway, do you really think there's people with real oranges standing over each individual bottle and squeezing the oranges into it? What do you think is in this orange juice? Drinking that orange juice, if you read the back of the orange juice bottle, is no different than having a can of Coke.
That's not true.
It is true. Just go look at what's in it.
It says made with real oranges right on the bottle.
So why is everything else fake news, but that one's not?
Well, you're not allowed to say that.
Because it's written on plastic, and if there's anything you can trust in this world,
it's plastic.
It's plastic.
No, but it could be
also plastic.
It could be 4% real oranges.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it may be, but it's called Simply Orange. If you look at the ingredients, it's more than just...
But again, made with real oranges, like Pat said, that could be one orange in a batch. It's technically made... Well, I guess it'd have to be two if it's made with oranges. But that just fills a quota. Anyway, I think we're off topic here. Don't dunk your Oreos in orange juice.
Yeah, well, that came about because there was a day that was freezing cold, and I was home, and all I had in my house was some Oreos and some orange juice.
You could just eat the Oreos by themselves.
Well, but I decided when in Rome, and and tried them together. And you know what?
By the way, the second half of that is when in Rome, go to Asparo.
Well, you don't need to go to Rome to go to Sparrow. I mean, that's kind of a waste to go to Rome to go to Sparrow.
Actually, yeah.
You get it at home. Be better than you get in Rome. You just take the Oreo and you dunk it in the orange juice. And actually what you have is a sweet and sour sort of like cacophony of flavors in your mouth. And it's actually quite delicious. And I would advise it. And no, I don't split it. I don't like to play with my food. I don't break
You don't like to
You
play with your food.
individually dunk spoonfuls of cereal.
I'm not playing with it. I'm doing something I think is more efficient for the flavor.
It takes me 45 minutes to eat a bowl of cereal. Plus, you did tell people that you reuse the milk.
Wait, how does that even work?
Well, because if you don't eat all, because if you can't individually do it,
how do you? Did you just leave the bowl uncovered in your fridge?
No. Like you put the spoon in, and then you take out the spoonful of cereal. Then you don't like pour more milk in to put the next spoonful of cereal in. You only pour the milk in once.
I get that, but you say reuse that milk, so you don't...
Yeah, you keep using that same bowl of milk till you're finished.
Oh, okay.
Well, it said, better question, if you decide to have another bowl of cereal, and this is someone who's just pouring their cereal in second, do you drink the milk that was still left in the bowl and start over, or do you use that milk was left over? And Tim said he reuses
okay,
the
but
milk.
that makes more sense now, yes. Okay.
In that instance, that's like cooking eggs in a frying pan that has bacon grease in it. Yeah, sure, I would just reuse the milk.
Well, again, he's never actually poured. That's the problem. This question is there was no actual pouring into the bowl. It was a. What is a bowl of cereal to Tim? He just has individual spoonfuls. Do you have a measurement system, Tim? Like, would you say 15 spoons is equivalent to a bowl of cereal?
I don't know. I just spoon until the little box is empty.
Well, there you go.
So we have this one too. Tim was triggered about this online. There's an Indian company that has edible spoons, and they are part of a growing trend of edible cutlery.
Oh, God.
Have you ever even tried this stuff?
No, well, of course I haven't tried edible cutlery.
How do you know if it's any different?
Like, again, it's all a part of this millennial...
You know what's funny? You are the most millennial of all of us because you won't even try anything.
I do try things.
I don't like that. That's a part of the problem. I can't stand it. Have you ever tried it? No.
Remember how great the dissolvable stir sticks were at Bonnaroo for our coffee? Remember how much you hated those?
Yeah, those weren't good. When I was looking for a stir stick, I didn't want something that dissolved instantly. And
this is an edible utensil. How sturdy is this?
I don't know. I haven't tried it.
Why would you?
Because I would want to see if it actually worked. I'd be good with a dissolvable stir stick if it actually stirred my coffee and didn't just instantly melt. That was a bad product.
It's like the disintegrating ray.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the cutlery we have. We don't need any innovation on that front. Let's just mush on with what we've got.
But this
Oh,
sounds
so
this sounds
20
way-
years ago, did you punch the guy who had the spork in the face? There's always new
the
plateaus to
sport was a
reach.
useless invention that has basically fallen out of vogue because nobody needs it.
Also, this is coming from someone who can't do his own dishes, so he only owns one plate, one fork, one spoon, one knife.
Well, to be fair to that logic, you wouldn't want to eat your only fork.
No, you wouldn't. But now he's in a situation where he has more than this stuff, but he doesn't know how to wash any of it. It seems like edible spoons and edible forks are exactly where he needs to be.
That's true.
It's just another marker of slovenly, lazy millennials.
How is it lazy?
I'm not going to wash my dishes, ha ha ha. I'll just take a bite out of my fork.
You
don't
invested in paper plates because you couldn't wash dishes.
Because I'm too busy hanging out in my 400 square foot loft and I haven't got room for any of my dishes, so I'm just gonna, buy edible spoons and not come on.
But I feel like you don't understand the initiative that it takes to design these things. That's
I don't doubt that
completely.
there's a lot of initiative and work to it.
So that would be the antithesis of your argument of this laziness of the millennial culture.
Also,
which
again,
you are part of.
can you
Advantage of the lazy millennials?
Can you please address the thing that I just brought up about you buying paper plates?
Yes.
Whatever.
So how
Just
is
throw 'em out.
so how is that more lazy? How is that less lazy than having an edible?
I've said this before. Anyone who is a bachelor within 2 weeks will turn to paper plates as their usual plate.
If you're like a bottom, that is if you have zero interaction with the outside world, because anyone who actually came over to your place or interacted with you and saw that you had paper plates would think you were a maniac.
I think they would think
look how low this person is.
No, I would think that guy's a bachelor. Like if I go to the grocery store and buy,
They would think
a
that
bunch
guy's a
of Hungry
bachelor,
Members
but it
on
wouldn't be for
sale.
the reason you think it's for.
Yeah, they would think,
I've been
good Lord, don't stand around him. Children, get away.
like
I recall being a bachelor, and I don't recall having paper plates. I recall having nice utensils, nice plates, wine glasses. And you know what? Washing them wasn't the biggest deal in the world.
people don't bat an eye when a bachelor has. It's like several months ago at the grocery store here, they had a sale on the Chili's instant TV dinners. So I bought like 15 of them.
Oh,
and the person ringing it through the machine sure just thought that's a bachelor. That's what he's doing. Like it's not looked down upon. It's just that's just how bachelor men.
Again,
you mean the 16-year-old kid that was just smoking a joint out
yeah,
back?
if you think cashiers aren't judging you, you are solely mistaken.
Yeah,
that's how we get through the shift.
We both worked at grocery stores.
I did too.
And you weren't judging every single person who came in?
No, I don't care. I'm not the judging type.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If there's one thing we've learned, yeah, you're not judgmental whatsoever.
Not judgmental at all. Oh.
All right. Is that it? You got anything else?
We've got to talk about the Oscars since we make a point every year of talking about the Oscars on this show.
I mean, I read through that stuff. I don't really care, to tell you the truth.
I think it's a great idea.
So
was gonna
I
say,
kind of
for a
glossed
change,
over
I
this.
want to show that I can support change and progress and difference, and that I think this idea of introducing an Academy Award for Best Achievement in Popular Film, great idea.
What constitutes popular film?
That's the thing.
And could you win
That
both?
is the question. Obviously, it'll have to be a box office number, and they'll have to draw that line somewhere. But that can be done. The same with in presidential debates.
But isn't
you
this
have
just
to
kind
have
of a?
certain threshold to get in.
This is
kind
just
of just a half-assed solution to the problem that they're too sort of
no. This comes
bougie
down.
with. What
They're not even too bougie with the best movies, like the best quality of movies that come out are the smaller movies because there's no in-between movie anymore because as we talked about earlier,
sure.
all those movies are now either TV shows or they're on Netflix or they're on Hulu.
But didn't we essentially solve this problem by increasing the amount of nominees
but
to
that
10?
wasn't good enough for everyone.
No, because
the terrible movies that like Tim likes.
When the movies that are winning are the
Tim has
Shape of
put it this
Water
way,
and
Tim
Moonlight,
has bad taste.
which nobody has seen.
We can talk about this. So Tim has awful taste. He doesn't know what's good and what's not. And he thinks that things that are real, like, he just talked about buying fucking Chili's TV dinners and thinking that people weren't judging him for it. Like, he's not just some sort of just complete lunatic who, might be like the Unabomber. I don't know. Like, your lifestyle sounds very Unabomber-esque. I'll just throw that out
He didn't have a microwave.
But he has bad taste. So he wants, because he's a snowflake, and he doesn't like when stuff he doesn't understand or thinks is bad, everyone else is like, yeah, that's really good.
So you're saying this is the Oscars version of a participation rating?
Exactly.
Interesting.
You know these shitty movies I like? Why don't they win Oscars? Now there's a chance for that. So
That's nice.
This is why Tim likes this so much.
No, so part of it is that the viewership of the award show is down. because the movies that were getting
The
nominated
viewership of every single thing is down. How do you not understand this?
When they nominated super popular movies over the last few years, before the last couple of years, viewership went up. When they nominated really movies that nobody's like, your Avatar was nominated, they had huge ratings. When they nominate, and that's a terrible movie, but when they nominate movies that are popular, you see a direct correlation between the Oscar viewership and
okay, so it's no longer about what's the best movie, is what you're saying.
Well,
that's
fine.
Yes,
but that's specifically named popular movie, or what's the actual category name?
It's debatable about whether the Academy is overlooking actually what constitutes the best movie. In some senses, is popularity. Aristotle used to talk about.
No, it's not, because people like you would then get to weigh in, and you know fucking nothing about movies.
Like who judges the quality of the meal, the expert cook or the diners themselves? Of course, it's the diners. People are consuming it. They're really the ones judging the quality of something.
But that's not what the Oscars are, though.
And that's also not how like food reviews work.
Like the Oscars,
No,
the Oscars have never tried to be. Hey, this is. That's the people. There's literally an award show for that. It's called the People's Choice Awards.
Yeah, or the MTV Movie Awards, or the fucking Golden Globes, where you can just pay to win one.
I just feel like it's a
also
really
being smart by moving this award show up to the Sunday after the Super Bowl, intentionally to be A, in February sweeps, and B, in order to
you do understand this. Okay, stop using words like February sweeps. Sweeps aren't a thing anymore.
They still
no, they aren't.
No, they are not.
Do you see? You have no concept about how television works because you think that television is the same today. Maybe to you there is, but advertisers do not pay more now just because stuff is on in February, because that doesn't happen.
There also isn't the same divide between movie stars and television stars.
There's
so
also
you can't draw these major stars that'll never be on TV again.
TV also doesn't end at the beginning of May and starts at the beginning of September anymore. That's why sweeps existed.
But network
and that's not. No, it doesn't.
Almost all network TV shows.
Not really.
No,
CBS,
they don't.
CBS has their own app now. That's the only place you could watch Star Trek.
And also, I think the biggest ratings boom of any like new show that's come out, realistically, actually, I guess there was two of them. The two highest rated like different version genre shows in the past 20 years: Survivor being one of them, debuted in the summer; Empire being the other one, debuted in the summer. And then
that goes back to a prior
and then it turned out that hey, people watch TV in the summer too, so it just runs all year long.
I just think this is really it's a weird.
You know, the 1987 Oscars are looking great. Michael Douglas has shown up sans mullet, but he is looking very Gordon Gekko-esque with that brick cell phone he has. February sweeps are a big deal, Tim. You care to weigh in? You know nothing. Nothing.
For networks, they matter. And
they don't.
Also just
selling their new OTT platforms is what matters to networks now.
And shortening the gap between them and the Golden Globes, I think is smart too.
I just feel like if you're one of these movies that is nominated for most popular movie, like you have to take that as, hey, here's the award for movie that people went to go see,
but isn't
even
really
though
any
it's
good.
Not any good. Like, why would you think this is an award anyone wants to win?
Well, because it's always better to win an Oscar because
you know what? There's money to make. These popular movies that are solely only there because they already dominated the box office. There's money to be made off all of a sudden I get to see Oscar-winning Avengers 2. Because that's really the pull for me, is that Avengers 2 won an Oscar.
The cinematographers get to call themselves, Academy Award winners.
No, there's not a whole separate set of categories. It's one category.
No, but if you win...
It's not best director of a shitty movie.
If you're the director of a movie that won an Academy Award, that in Hollywood carries.
But you don't get to say that you're an Oscar-winning director.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
I like that they're going to phase out on the TV show all of the awards that no one's heard of and no one knows anything about.
That's probably for the best.
That's probably best for the telecast. I like that stuff though.
3 hours max now. That show is going to run 3 hours max.
I never understood why they were so concerned about when
if you're watching the start, you're watching
the end. Yeah, if it's 4 hours, isn't that better?
This is the thing with baseball, where they're like shorten baseball. It's like if you're tuning in to watch a baseball game, you're here to watch baseball.
Yeah, it's better off that it's 5 hours. That's more commercials.
I wonder though if they probably only sell so many commercials, right?
Well, I'm sure that sometime within the last 50 years, advertising executives have sold periphery ads to say, hey, if we do go over, you get a discount on this price, but it's still this, and you get to be a part of the Oscars broadcast. I'm sure that it's not like, oh my God, we only sold 3 hours worth of commercials. Well, no more commercials.
I would actually say
there would have to be... I'm happy that they're going to keep it shorter because, I don't want it to go.
Why? You literally have nothing to do.
Because I prefer to just...
Shouldn't... Wait, what else are you doing? Things could be all day for you.
All right. I that's not true. And I think
What are you doing? Tell me, what are you doing?
I don't need to be up till 1 a.m. watching an award show.
But you would.
And I watch them because that's how I stay connected to pop culture.
And also, being up till 1 is very specific to you because you live in the world's worst time zone. No one actually gives a shit about what people on the east coast of Canada are up to in terms of TV programming.
But they care about people on the east coast of the United States.
Sure, so that's also midnight. That's a completely different ballgame than 1. No, it's not.
Yes, it is. For most people, midnight on a work night is late.
I think unless you have kids, you're up well past midnight. Unless you have some sort of job where you work at like 5 a.m.
It's probably starting to get to the cutoff point, but yeah, I don't think that's exceedingly late for anyone.
No, but he's saying that no one does it. No one stays up that late.
Well, yeah, midnight is fine because it starts at 9 on the East Coast and runs to 12, or then that's fine. But it's smart to reduce.
Doesn't it usually start at 8?
It's the same thing at Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
I like the changes the Oscars have made. I'm not against these changes. I'm showing some growth here. But I'm not just opposed to it because it's
true. This is technically a different side of the take that you have presented, and I will applaud you for that. I feel like it's a it's
a dumbing down of the Oscars.
Yeah.
Not that it matters because the Oscars really
don't in the grand scheme of things it doesn't really matter, but I think that for things that we can already definitively say this doesn't matter, why change it? Because it doesn't matter. Let the people who enjoy it and let the people who have the sanctity of it and think it is this, it's the best barometer of movie quality.
Well, it's funny because that's how Tim actually judges these things. I just like it because I like to see who wins the awards. I like a good competition. But Tim is like, oh, Crash won the Oscar. Crash is a great movie.
I don't think I even said it at that time.
Terrence Howard's finest work until Empire. Bar none.
But it's cool to see the Academy rewarding movies that aren't in their sort of like higher rung of like.
You mean the better movies?
But again, I think it's almost at the level.
In one sense, but not better in most popular is a type of better.
No, it's not.
Right?
Well,
sure.
Again, to say most popular is you're literally telling people, hey, these movies weren't good enough to actually win technical awards. So
actually, they probably would win the technical awards.
That a lot of them do. That's true.
Because that's where those movies shine.
Yeah, so again, I don't see because all these movies tend to get, but they're taking away the technical categories.
Maybe.
So I guess that's their solution.
They're not taking them away. They're just not going to show them on.
But to your point, if people come to see,
yeah, like when Mad Max made that big run through the technical categories.
Harry Potter used to win all those categories.
Or Star Wars and stuff like that.
Or the Avengers movie. Right?
So maybe if they're eliminating that section of the show, maybe this is just the way that they can still have those movies actually be notable on television.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
There. Thoughts, Tim?
I think that's reasonable.
I can't wait for Best Director in a semi-popular movie. That's going to be my new favorite category.
That's like the Rian Johnson special.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't like Johnson.
No, other than Looper, which I thought was a good movie.
You also didn't see...
I don't know why I thought you didn't like Looper.
I do like Looper. It was
you don't like the other guys. Right.
That movie is trash.
Not the other guys. Sorry, not the other guys.
The Nice Guys.
The Nice Guys.
I don't like the other guys.
The other guys is actually pretty good.
The other guys is not fun.
I like the first hour of the other guys.
I like the first 5 minutes of the other guys.
Yeah,
that's a great 5 minutes.
That's a bad movie.
But yeah, once you destroy a Star Wars movie and are hated for it,
it's funny because everyone I've talked to really liked Last Jedi. I haven't seen it.
I'm more on Tim's side. It was too long. They could cut half an hour from it. I'm not appalled to my core. I don't feel like they wronged me in any way, but I did leave and go, I didn't need some of the stuff that was in that movie, but it's fine.
He directed one of my favorite indie movies, Brick.
Brick is a great movie. That's true. He's do everything with that.
And he directed that Breaking Bad episode with the train heist.
Yeah.
He's done some good TV episodes as well.
Again, it was fine. It was just too long.
I'm not triggered like Tim is all the time.
Yeah.
Where he just has to go and pick fights because he has nothing else to do.
Tim, have you given money, even though it's technically like online pandering, but have you given money to these websites that say we're going to raise $40 million and give it to Disney so we can recut The Last Jedi to save the franchise?
No, that movie was bad. It deserves to be bad. It deserves to be remembered as bad. And I hope J.J. Abrams can save it because, it would be nice that 2 of the 3 new trilogy movies are decent.
I mean, you should just bring George Lucas back because you were such a big fan of Phantom Menace.
I liked Phantom
He's
Menace.
got a new
I'll stand
movie.
by.
George Lucas?
No,
Tim?
He wasn't the kid in Phantom Menace.
Oh,
but
Hayden Christensen in Little Italy.
Yeah.
My Uber driver was telling me all about it. His name was Salvador. He loved Little Italy.
Hey,
Interesting.
anyone who can see through the lies of the Jedi is a hero to me.
Now it sounds like he's fake news.
Yeah,
Just saying stuff to get attention because he's a millennial.
it's true.
Like
I'm not
your Twitter account is the most millennial Twitter account ever.
Most certainly.
It's just
is
being
not.
triggered by things and making outrageous hipster statements.
I'm not making any hipster statements.
You hate things that are very commonly accepted as being popular.
I just express my
Like eating cereal the right way. Well, Tim, if that's not the case, you might have to be institutionalized.
No, I just.
You
God
live.
forbid I don't. I deign to think for myself.
Yeah, but everything that you think is just crazy. Do you not see how that's a problem? I bought 15 Hungry Man dinners the other day.
They were on
Well, they
sale
were
for
made by the
$2.99.
Aren't they
people
always
at
on
Chili's.
sale?
No, not for $2.99, and they're Chili's ones.
Man,
I like.
I would
them.
not feel good about eating meat that I
$2.99.
bought
How
for
much time do you spend on the
$2.99.
can?
I don't know. I don't time it.
Do you have like a clock like that you're inching towards a heart attack or something like that?
No.
Because every bit of food you've brought up on this episode is just horrible for you.
Is your favorite Chili's dinner differ that greatly from your favorite Hungry Man dinner?
Yes, there's a pasta one for Chili's. It's a pepper mac and cheese one. That's really quite excellent.
Oh, that does not sound like it nukes well.
No. I bet you it tastes like garbage too.
It's delicious.
The best thing Chili's does are the chips they give you at the beginning. Can't screw those up. Anyway, hour and a half. I think that's pretty good. We did it. Garion Thorne, thank you for being here.
No problem.
I'd also like to thank, guess who?
I have an inkling.
It is Tim Andercust!
Tim Andercust.
That is not my name.
No, it sure is. Do you know why it's your name?
I don't know.
Because this was an episode of Cust Corner!
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
I don't like that name, but I hope people enjoyed it because I suspect with football season starting up, we probably won't have a chance to record another corner for quite a while. So
No, we might have to do some at the end of some pick shows. And then
or like in between, like we were doing, or
No, I'll probably just do after the fact. We'll do like 10 minutes, and I'll save all those 10 minutes. Maybe release one after week 8. Release one at the end of the season.
That'll be good.
okay, that's a good idea.
That seems
Yeah,
like a way I can get out of doing a Friday show once every 8 weeks.
there you go.
Boom.
Because I'm sure there will be things during the football year that will enrage me that I'll want to talk about.
Of course, I'm sure that 2 minutes after you get off the line, things are going to enrage you. It's too hot out. I hate hot. Oh, it's too cold out. I hate cold.
I've been spending most of my time on Twitter just typing in Khalil Mack and trying to read updates about him.
Oh,
Now you're
God.
dating the show. Don't I ask you not to date the show every single time we do the fucking show?
I apologize. You can cut that.
Do you know, you don't understand how this stuff works, do you? You know, it's not just like I press the
I have
cut.
no idea.
I don't just press the cut button and it's just out.
I have no idea.
Just making extra work for Paul.
It's okay. Paul's got a free money bet.
That's true. He is technically like paying Paul $50. So
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,